Okay, so this episode's episode 4, and it's going to be about inline if statements, Booleans, inversion operators, incremental, decremental operators, and the modulo operator. So first of all, I'll do the inline if statements. So let's say if you had a variable b, and you wanted to do the following if statement. If a is greater than or equal to 5, then b is equal to 5, else b is equal to a. So this basically means b is equal to a as long as it's less than or equal to 5. Um, so this would work. I don't need to run it, you can see that it works. But there is a neater way of doing this. It's called an inline if statement or ternary operator. So here on the line of b, I'll do the first condition, a is greater than or equal to 5. Then you do the question mark to mean it's an if statement. If you want that, then the value should be 5, as you can see here. Else, you want the value to be a. And so this is an equivalent statement. B is equal to this part, which you can see here. This part, you can see here. And this part, which you can see here. You could also change this up a bit more if you wanted an else if statement. So if this, else this. If a is equal to 10, then b is equal to 100, else b is equal to a. So that's like the old condition as from before. So how you would increment this is still the same, 5 is still here, but then after the colon you want a equal to 10. If that's true, make it 100, else make it a. And that's the equivalent statement. So finally we should output the message to check that it works. B is... Now I'm going to show you a new operator. Previously I would be doing something like this. B is equal to this. I commonly do this, but there's another way of outputting a message. The other way would be to put it like this, and then put a comma, and then put B. Some people prefer this. I prefer the other way, but it's nice to know both ways. B is this. The benefit is you could also put and A is, and then put a 1, and then afterwards put A, like this. So if I put a value of 3, B is 3 and A is 3. If I put a value of 6, B is 5 and A is 6. If I put 10, okay, so this is kind of my logic's a little bit messed up here, because here a is greater than or equal to 5, so it does this, it doesn't get to this half. This needs to be something on the lines of, if a is equal to 0, then make it 100, because this part can never be true if this is false. If this is false, this can't be true previously, so now if I put 0, then b is 100. If I was to put 2, then it's the same value as a. Okay, so now that's pretty much inline if statements covered. I should now show you booleans. So a boolean basically holds a true or false statement. So if you had an if statement, if a is equal to 4, this has a true or false value, and you could store this in a boolean. So bool b is equal to a is equal to 3. So this does the comparison of a equal to 3, it returns true or false, and it's stored in the boolean of b. You can then do an if statement of if b. So if there's a complicated comparison, like you could have string many of these across and 3 equals 3. It won't like that because they're two constants, but or maybe it does like it. Anyway, if you have loads of operators all collected together in this one boolean, it's nice to store it so you don't have to perform the comparison over and over again. Another thing you can do is once you have a boolean, you can invert the value. So I put console.writeLine b, but if I then do it here and I say b is equal to not b, so this is the inversion operator. It gets the value of b and inverts it. You can also use this in if statements. So if I put 3, it puts true false. If I put 2, it puts false true. So it inverts it. So this operator here I haven't really shown properly. If I was to do an if statement, if a equals 3, then this would be fine. But if you wanted to invert it like that, I could do it like this, which is essentially the same as saying this, but it just inverts it. So that's all you really need to know about that. Finally, I want to show you the incremental decremental operators. So if you wanted a statement that such as a equals a plus 1, so this increments the value of a, then you can do this in a neater way. You can say a equal a plus equals 1. However, if the value is 1, there's also another special case you can do, which is a plus plus, and that will increment the value of a. So a plus plus is equal to a plus equals 1, which is equal to a equals a plus 1. So all these statements are equal. There's also decremental versions, so a minus minus, a minus equals 1, a equals a minus 1, all the same thing. You can do this with all operators, so a times equals 3. So this gets the value of a and triples it. So if I was to put, I haven't got an output, let me get an output. Let's get an output a just on its own. So if I put in 9, it should say 27. It just triples the value. You can also do divide equals. 9 goes to 3. And that's pretty much that. Finally, I want to show you the modulo operator. So this is the percentage symbol. It's used quite a lot. It basically finds the remainder from a division. So if you were to have 7 divided by 3 integer maths, so int b equals 7 divided by 3. Because this is integer maths, it would get the answer, so this would be 2.3333, and it's integer maths, so it would remove the decimal points. Even if the answer was 2.9999, it would still remove all the 9s because it's integer maths and it just removes the decimal points. It truncates the number, is a technical term. So this gives you the value of 2, and if you want to find the remainder like you did in maths, so if it like primary school, you probably would see this as 2 remainder 1. I don't know if you've ever seen that before, but the modulo operator finds the remainder. So int c is equal to 7 modulo 3. So that finds the remainder. So if you were to write that out like you would have previously, you would say 7 over 3 is equal to 2 is equal to 0 r 1 b and c. So this should say 2 remainder 1. If I put it, oh, the value that it's expecting isn't necessary. Wait, as you can see.